my compadre from the NFL Media Group here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, Ian?
What's up, Rich? How you guys doing?
What's going on with Eddie Lacy signing to Seattle? How do you think that went down and the ripple effect, domino effect on the rest of the running back free agent field, Ian?
Yeah, I think it's going to have a pretty significant ripple effect or domino effect or whatever you say. Although it's interesting that Jamal Charles, who was scheduled to visit Seattle, is actually still visiting Seattle, which I would think they would only do if they're still interested in him. It certainly makes me kind of wonder a little bit there. But the teams who are still in the market for running backs still need them. Green Bay certainly, the Oakland Raiders, Jaguars. I mean, all the Vikings. All of these teams have visited with the same guys. So it sounds like, and Latavius Murray. Sounds like the Raiders would like to get him back. Sounds like the Vikings would like to get Adrian Peterson back. But the fact that Lacy didn't go back to Green Bay makes me kind of wonder, at least. And I think now that everyone knows the market, he gets $5.5 million, $3 million guaranteed. That's basically the market for what all these guys are going to get. So at least we know a little more now than we did a couple minutes ago.
So based off of that, what do you think Adrian Peterson is looking to command? What are you hearing about that, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, to me, Adrian Peterson still has the most value to the Vikings. So I know they're supposed to visit with Latavius Murray. I know they've talked to a lot of the other guys. They would like him back. If I had always heard at the beginning of this that $6 million for Adrian Peterson with the Vikings might get it done. Lacy gets $5.5 million with the Seahawks. I got to imagine that's kind of the ballpark now. So, maybe they visit with Latavius Murray and then they go back to Adrian Peterson and they say, all right, you were never going to make $18 million. Obviously, we didn't pick up the option, but how about $6 million? And I think, everybody would like that sort of nice ending for an organization that stuck by him through a lot of bad stuff. And I think they'd kind of like the payoff of having him be a Viking for life as well.
Well, what's the sensibility of maybe Green Bay just jumping in there and giving him an offer in that neighborhood? What do you think the likelihood of something like that would be?
Well, I mean, last year I would have said that's ridiculous. It would never happen. But Green Bay has signed not one, but two actual legitimate free agents, people who are free agents. And I'm not talking about like they were cut by other teams so they don't affect the compensatory, pick formula. These are actual legitimate free agents. So it's not crazy. If Adrian Peterson at all, 1% feels slighted by the Vikings, there is no better place to sign than Green Bay. This would be like the reverse Favre, right?
Mm-hmm. It would definitely.
It's not crazy.
Be.
It's definitely not crazy.
Ian Rapoport joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so the quarterback market. Where do things currently stand right there? Let's start, I guess, with Romo. When do you think the first deadline to spur action lurks?
The draft. Like, I'm thinking, we're going through this, and as soon as it became clear on Thursday, I guess. Yeah, first day of the league year, Thursday. As soon as it became clear, I got a text from a Cowboys source who said we never intended to waive him. And I was like, all right, maybe we've all had this all wrong. Because the Cowboys people at the Combine were all talking about, we don't have to do anything, we can wait, we don't have anything in the contract we need to pay, we have all the time in the world. And even then I was like, all right, well then it's the draft. And so the chances we are talking about Tony Romo on Thursday night leading up to the draft is pretty high because, it's not going to be a first-round pick. But maybe someone just says, you know what, maybe here's the situation. Let's say the Texans, who it seems like they're more interested than the Broncos at this point. They have no quarterback. Let's say the Texans whiff on the quarterbacks they want in the first and second round, and they say, all right, now we're just going to give up a third rounder for Tony Romo.
Is that what the
Favre went for a fourth?
So that's the compensation you're hearing, a third round. I mean, that's a significant. But I guess Favre going for a fourth,
right?
There was really no competition in a way for Favre's services. Where else was he going to go? At the time.
But I kind of think that's the same. I know we all talk about the Broncos. I know Romo would love to play there. From the people I talk to there, I think they'll explore it, but they do not sound gung-ho at all.
So this is really all about getting a mid-level draft choice for Jerry Jones, so he can just put something on the wall. I mean, is it? This one's just a head scratcher. Yeah, I guess a third rounder or a fourth rounder is better than a no rounder. But do you think that Dallas would? Sorry, go ahead. Finish what you're going to say.
No, and you don't have to cut him. You know, like it's a horrible cap hit. So at least to me, like, and I hate to side with the Cowboys, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Like, you know, if you don't care about the optics of it, which I think, I think Jerry probably likes us talking about him. I mean, don't you think Jerry's going to love turning on the draft and hearing us debate what the Cowboys are going to get for Tony Romo? Well, he's going to think that's cool.
But before all that, you know, our former colleague at the shop now with MMQB, Albert Breer, was on yesterday pointing out he thinks that the deadline was going to be the off-season workout program because Romo's just going to show up. And it's supposed to be Dak's team, and everyone's going to be running up to Dak with a microphone and saying, Tony's still here, and Jerry, Tony's still here, and Steven, Tony's still here. And I mean, and that's a sense of awkwardness that the Cowboys are going to want to avoid. Where do you stand on that front?
That's a good point. I would say the easy way around that is say Romo's been excused from off-season workouts where, you know, nobody cares whether he's there or not. And the thing about Dak, and one of the like really cool things about what happened last year, is I cannot imagine any rookie quarterback or any rookie human being put in a situation like Dak was last year, where he literally just took the job from one of the all-time greats of the franchise and didn't cause any controversy. We all talked about it, but internally, amazingly, this is Tony's team, this is Tony's team. And then when it wasn't, he said, I respect Tony Romo, he's great. But this is what the coaches decide. I mean, I trust Dak Prescott to handle this like a pro. So I'm actually not really worried about that from that standpoint.
Ian Rapoport joining me here. What about the Browns and Garoppolo? Is there any smoke, any fire, any chance, do you think?
Yeah, I think there's some. I think they will make a run at it. I really do. And it's smart, too, because, you know, if you think that he is your franchise guy, then, like, who cares what it costs? Like a first rounder and a second rounder, like whatever. You know, I think the Browns would have survived without, I don't know, any of their first rounders for the last 10 years, if we're just being honest, right? So I think it makes sense from a Browns perspective. But the only problems I'll say are really twofold. One, I don't think the Patriots want to trade him because they love Tom Brady. He's the best ever. But you just don't know when he's going to pull a Peyton Manning and just go the wrong way. And he looks great and everything is great. But so did Peyton until he wasn't. I think that's one. The other thing is, you know, if you're trading for Garoppolo, the facts are he's only played 2 games. And how sure are you in what you saw in those only 2 games? That's a question, too.
And so teams like the Jets are going to sit there and wait to see how all these pieces shake out to see if, let's say, if Garoppolo goes to Cleveland, that means Osweiler sitting out there, or Romo goes to Denver, then Simeon can be available, or do the Jets go ahead and pull the trigger on somebody before their offseason workout program begins?
I think the Jets will pull the trigger on somebody first. You know, the Cutler situation is worth monitoring. There's some interest there. Josh McCown, there's some interest there. And I think for McCown, you know, that actually makes a lot of sense because he's such a good dude. Like, he's an awesome guy. He's a great teacher. I remember talking to him, like, just standing on the field when I visited Cleveland last year, and I said, you should retire and become a coach. And he didn't listen, but that's basically what he's doing anyway. Mm-hmm. So I like that fit for the Jets.
And then the Patriots, Malcolm Butler taking a visit, apparently, reportedly, to New Orleans on Thursday. He's a restricted free agent. He hasn't signed his tender yet, but read the tea leaves there, because the Patriots would be able to get a draft choice for Butler should he sign that tender, and it's a first round draft pick we're talking about right here, Ian.
Yeah, you're right. Except it doesn't. From what I understand, it doesn't sound like that's what it would be. So, like, if you do, let's say you sign a restricted free agent to an offer sheet and he accepts, then it has to be the team's original pick. So the Saints would have to send 11, not their new 32nd pick that they got. They have to send 11 to the Patriots. That is not happening. So it would probably end up being the 43rd or whatever that's going to be, the 40s pick that the Saints have. So maybe it's a second rounder and change. But here's what I know about that. The Saints have been negotiating with Malcolm Butler. He is going on a visit on Thursday. They would like to finish that up. I think there's a good chance that this happens.
So, but why would the Patriots take less than what would be owed to them based on the tender? Why would they do that for the hero of Super Bowl 49?
Because they don't think they're going to be able to sign him to a long-term deal. And so if you're going to lose him for, let's say he plays this year on the first-round tender, then you lose him, you get a third-round compensatory pick. Well, maybe now, similar to Jamie Collins, maybe now you take a second-rounder a year earlier.
My God. And Ian, now, let's say they get the Saints second-rounder, right? So then,
right.
And then the Browns come knocking on the door, say, hey, we got 12 this year, and we got a bunch of twos. And they'll be like, what, we don't need your twos. I mean, it's just the leverage that New England continuously acquires, accrues, or already has in their back pocket is legendary when you think about it.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
With the trophy in the case, and Dante Hightower still deciding where do I want to go, and he might wind up back there anyway.
I know, and it's always sort of like everybody laughs about how the Patriots can always offer, they always offer a little bit less than everyone else because they say, like, well, if you want to win, you come here.
Right.
And so many guys do because they just keep winning, and then they just keep having leverage over everyone. And, they're just ridiculous. I don't know. They're just absolutely ridiculous.
And it's not like they're going to miss Butler. They got Gilmore.
Right.
Which one would assume he's going to play similar. Ian, thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. We'll chat again soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Ian Rapoport.